Hi, everyone. It's Doc B, and I have a very special guest today, Coach Steve Yang, and he's going to be talking to us about coaching and leadership. He is currently the associate head women's basketball coach at Stephen F. Austin in Texas, and he's going to tell us all about himself. So, without further ado, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, your hometown, your teams, your hobbies, your education, and how you were able to matriculate and get to where you are now with coaching?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. This is great, and the years I've known you, you've been nothing but great, and just like seeing your work and your body work, it's been amazing too. So thank you so much for having me on. So I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and been bouncing around. Spent some time in Springfield, Missouri as well too. But hometown is Tulsa, Oklahoma. I mean, some of the hobbies I like doing is golfing, fishing, everything like I guess a dad would do. Um, my education, I got my 2 degrees at Missouri State in '06 and 2010. And just been all around the country. Our team here has been great. We had a great year last year, and looking for another good year this year. And so been bouncing around. We were just talking about this with my staff. I'm going into year 20, my 20th season of being in the game. So I'm thankful. I'm blessed to even be here. I've been bouncing around at different levels of basketball from Division 2, obviously Division 1, NAIA, junior college, high school, did some AAU. So I've seen different styles of basketball, different levels, different budgets, I guess you want to say. And it really has taken being resilient about it too is where I'm at today. Like just staying with it, working hard. We're gonna have some ups and downs, and that's what I've had some ups and downs, but more ups than downs. And that's where I'm at today, just being resilient and working hard, networking, and just staying on top of things. So yeah.
Awesome. No, I'm so excited to talk to you and just learn more about your journey. So, I met you a while ago I don't even remember what year, and I don't want to age myself either, but the women's Final Four in Tampa, Florida. And we'll get a little bit into that and how I met you with the Asian Basketball Coaches Association and all of that. But just seeing your leadership from that aspect at the Final Four and just how well revered you were among your coaches and how high they put you. I was just like, man, I'm so happy that I met you through our mutual contact, Jimmy Lynn. So I feel really thankful for this interview, and I'm just, again, looking forward to hearing more about your journey. So you're currently the women's basketball coach, associate coach at Stephen F. Austin. Can you tell us about your journey and your current position? You know, what the job entails, what the day to day, because I don't think that a lot of people necessarily know what the day to day looks like in coaching. They say they want to be coached, but what does that really look like?
Absolutely. Everyone thinks coaching is just on the court and what they see the finished product, but there's a lot that goes on with what we do. It's the build up to it, the paperwork, the office hours, the sacrifice of being away from family and friends to do what we do. For my current position here, I'm really here to support my head coach and to be there and to be a sounding board, but also give them ideas. Like my job and my responsibility isn't to make decisions. It's to give suggestions, and my head coach makes those decisions. But I've got to be that person, and it's okay if it's the opposite of what your head coach wants, right? Just you got to be there to help them out in all ways to make this program move in the right direction. So that's really what I do too to help them out with that. I deal with a lot of responsibilities of helping out with NIL since that's a big part of our game today. I do a lot of the game scheduling, which is pretty much of a hectic at times too, to try to schedule games, making things work, along with also the academic side of our program too. That's big, being a student athlete. So I deal with all that. Now I've got my hands on a lot of the other parts of the program itself. My journey, man, it's again resilience. I mentioned earlier. It's just getting here, making sure that you're doing the right things. Like I always tell my mentees and people I talk to, is like the easiest part of this is getting a job. The hardest part is keeping it. And how you keep it and stay on this journey is also what you know. It's not just who you know and who knows you, but what do you know to make yourself valuable for not just that current staff to want you, but some other coach out there in the game to want you. And then for you to go from this school to that school or this location, that location because of your value, your worth. So my journey, it started off at the high school level, and that's where I started off as a head coach at a high school on the boys side, and just really just I wanted to get here. It was way back in the day, and not having someone out there to kind of uh, help guide me, so I had to go find that guidance and finding someone to help me through the journey to navigate through this career that I've chosen. So just being resilient and finding the assistance, finding the support group, my inner circle, I guess you want to say, and just work went from high school to junior college to NAIA to Division 1, even D2, back to D1 at different levels. On this journey, just making sure that you have a group of people that's going to be there to support you through the highs and lows. And that's really what it is without going into too much grave detail. I can sit here and take all day talking about that. But at the end of the day, it's just really going at different levels and different speed. And so I was really just trying to find opportunities more so than chasing that logo or chasing that color or that dollar sign. I was really looking for opportunities to really brand myself, opportunities to get to where I'm at today. And that's really what my journey consists of, was just that. Mhm.
I love that word you're using, resilience, because I think that, sometimes we don't realize that the road is not a linear road, right? We're not going like this or it's going to be like this. It's more like this and then this and then this. And if we could get to that for just a couple of days, that's nice, right? I
Mhm.
remember it went viral. It was this year, but it was Rick Pitino, and he was talking about adversity, right?
Mhm.
And that we just have to learn to take adversity and conflict head on, and we have to learn how to be resilient. So, thank you for saying that. I feel motivated because, things don't always go the way you necessarily want to, but you have to make the best out of it. And our roles are kind of similar, right? We both work at a university. You work with student athletes. I work with more athletes and then some student athletes. But at the end of the day, our job and, who we work with are 18 to 22-year-olds, right? And how we maneuver these different generational changes, different admin changes, different changes like an NIL or athletics, they do affect us and how we're able to do our job. So it is important to be resilient. So a lot of the stuff you just said really resonates with me in my role. So thank you for that. Um,
Mhm.
so you've had an assistant coach role, an associate coach role, and a head coach role. So how are these positions similar and different?
Well, similar is like you still have to understand the game, regardless of title. I think a title is only a title to give you so you can get a certain pay and be employed, whatnot. But the thing that doesn't change is your leadership. I think that's really important in understanding the game. The difference is the maybe the salary or the responsibility and the expectations for the head coach. And earlier I mentioned the head coach making that decision, the associate head is a support too. But even that, it's just the associate head is, I believe it's showing to the world, I guess the world, but the ones out there that you can be a head coach potentially if that's where they want to go. But also to step in if something were to happen to your head coach, to be there to still help out your head coach and be their support if something were if they were absent during a game or practice, whatnot, in the office. But it's fairly similar. I mean, I always tell people that I learn from everyone. Just because I'm the associate head coach doesn't mean I can't learn from my assistants and vice versa. My title is just a title. It's about, your leadership and how you are. So it's fairly similar in a sense where, you're having to do things, understand the X's and O's and all that. However, the biggest difference would be just if something were to happen to your head coach now, where do you step in and whatnot? Reporting wise, responsibilities might be a little bit heavier on me than the assistants because of my title. So there are some similarities and differences, but here that's kind of how we do it here. Mhm.
Yeah, and I actually just got promoted to associate from assistant, and I'm doing the same job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, a little change in salary and stuff, but same responsibilities. and more responsibilities. So
Mhm.
trying to navigate that. So, I was on your website, and you have a really phenomenal website. And just from a leadership perspective, you on your website, it talks about being a transformational coach, and you talk about your experience a little bit as far as being in the classroom, also to being a martial arts practitioner, and just talking a little bit about reinforcement and then also to behaviorism. So can you just touch a little bit on that from the mental, emotional, physical health standpoint and how that's all integrated into your leadership style?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is if like I believe in leading with love. Like if you don't love them off the court, you're not gonna be able to love them on the court, and they're not gonna trust you at all aspects. So if you can help them off and they can trust you, they'll do what you're asking them to do on the court as well. I think that's really, really important in any type of leadership, whether it's basketball, see white business collar jobs and whatnot. So that for me personally, that's important for me regarding leadership style because these players need to know and these students need to know that you care about them as an individual and a human being. So that's my biggest, I guess, my leadership style of understanding that hey, I am a human being. I know I'm your coach as well. But off the court is truly where you get them and win them in a way where they know that you truly care for them as a student so that they're here for academics too. And if you're not there to help them out with academics, they only get you for this part of their life, then they may not ever need you until that comes relevant to them and their situation. So for me, leadership style, that's what I define it as leading with love. And once you do that, I think the door opens up for everything else that you're asking for or wanting and needing out of your student athletes. Mhm.
I have a friend, and his whole brand for his organization is Love Always Wins. So
Mhm.
I think that's really powerful. And then, when I have student athletes in my class, I always remind them because sometimes we do our resumes and cover letters, and they're like, well, I don't really need this. I'm going to go pro, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. And I'm like, okay, at the end of the day, right? It is not if, it's a when are you going to stop playing your sport? And then you're going to have that athlete transition, right? Is it going to be, heaven forbid, an injury? Are you going to get cut? Are you just going to be, unhappy, or are you going to retire gracefully? Like, how is it going to be? But no matter what, you're going to have that athlete transition. So just talking to you, your first response is like, I look at the holistic student, right? Like I lead by love and the fact that you really care about them, long term, as well as when they're there with you for those 4 years. So I think that says a lot about you just as a person, as a leader, and also too as a coach.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. It's real quick on that. I just had a former player text me a couple of days ago saying that she's expecting a baby and all that. Like that's where it's at. Like it's not just being a coach for the 1 or 2, 3, 4 years of having you. It's also the foreverness of being your coach or being your friend and seeing how you are as an individual, as a mother, as a spouse. So that to me is leadership, and that's my wife coaching, I guess. Mhm.
Yeah, just the fact, I think, to being able to not only build those relationships, but to sustain them for 20 plus years, right? That says a lot in itself about that. I think some people, you have some coaches, and I've had some really great coaches, but I've also had some really bad coaches. So
Mhm.
my first college coach that I had, I stay in touch with him. I actually saw him last year. I went to go
Oh.
visit his farm in retirement, and I met his new donkey, which was awesome. Yeah. So I've been able to stay in touch with him all these years, and he doesn't even have social media. So it's just a
Mm.
phone call here and there, just checking in. And then I had another situation with a coach where we don't talk at all, right? So there's two sides of the coin, but I'm happy for the good experiences, not really the bad ones, but I guess maybe the bad ones make it extra special for the good ones. I'll put it
Yeah.
that way.
Oh, that's true.
Look at it that way. So what are some of the biggest social issues in college sports? You touched on it, and this is part of another question, but just as far as like NIL, how has that changed the landscape with you and in your role?
Yeah, I mean that's it's so funny we're talking about that. You brought that up because we had that in a discussion in our staff regarding we were talking about years of being in the game and like how are you still in the game this long? Well, I mean, we didn't have NIL back then, and so it makes recruiting different. It makes conversations a lot different. So, but in today's day and age with NIL, it just changes things because social media does help with that as well too, and hurt it. But yeah, I think that's it's just it's for our level, I guess you say our level, like mid-major programs and all that. Like it is quite difficult of getting the right player of letting getting them to understand your vision and why they should come to this university, this institution to get this education and all that. So I think that plays a big factor. It really does, and it does hurt and help. That makes our job a little more challenging. Um, there may be some pros and cons where the backside of it could be where a student athlete goes to a school, and then they don't get the playing time that they want, and then they kind of push NIL to the side and say, all right, let's really play basketball. I've been doing this for 12, 15 years of my childhood, and I really want to play basketball instead of the NIL route. So it depends the type of players you want to recruit and can recruit, especially at our level. It can be challenging of getting the right players to understand our narrative and what we want. So it's I mean it's both ways, and getting the boosters and the donors to understand that too in our fan base, you know. But yeah, our jobs are a little bit more challenging because of that. You know, just because we may not be able to get the players that we want to up front because of the NIL space, and so I guess that's an issue as well, but it can work in favor because of the back end if that's the case. So,
Okay, well, thank you for that insight. I've talked to some coaches very informally about it, and they talk about now it's a quantifiable amount that really shows the disparity as far as
yeah.
institutions go, whereas before we knew it was there, right?
Mhm.
But now it's just like more out in the open.
Mhm.
So with that being said, what about, coaching women's basketball in general, in comparison maybe to the men's basketball team? What's that like as far as maybe like resources or experiences with the women versus the men? Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately here we have about the same amount of resources as our men's team do, and we use the same practice facility, the weight room and all that. We have really great resources, but um, some places aren't like that, and so that could be challenging for them. But for us, it's it's been great here. I think the biggest challenge could be for men's and women's is the NIL space. Um, and it makes it a little harder for us to kind of get the right kids that we're asking for. And then if the men's team is having the NIL fundings to get the type of players, then now you're looking at, okay, well, they can do it and y'all can't. Um, but you know, whenever I was coaching men's basketball years ago, again, we didn't have this. So it was just getting the right kids, I guess the most talented kids out there to help get them where they want to be. And most of those guys uh, thinks and feels like they can go to the NBA no matter what level you're at. So you know, you're coaching those type of guys. But today and age, the men's and women's basketball side of it, with the NIL piece of it, it can make it a little bit different. That's one of the biggest challenge. The resource of it. I mean, it is what it is. At some universities, you have to try to find ways to win, and so I think it's getting. I think the gap is getting closer. For the most part, women's sports. I'll say women's basketball. It's now you're talking today and 15, 20 years ago, totally different. And so I think we are getting somewhere, and we're climbing, which is great, but we still have a long way to go. So.
Yeah, yeah, no, and thank you so much for just helping women's sports to evolve and being the basketball coach that you are.
Mhm.
So, with that being said, what is it like coaching women as a male coach? What are some of the challenges that had in comparison to coaching men?
I guess the biggest challenge is I have four sisters. So you know, being around women, you kind of understand with my four sisters too, like understanding how they are and how they tick and talk. So um, women here, I guess their agenda is a little different because a lot of times, like the NBA, you've got what 30 something teams, and the W, we don't have that many.
Yeah.
So for a lot of women, this is their W. And so, how do we make this their W? And knowing that, all right, your agenda has to be academics too. Well, I mean, it's men's too, but it's academics and also basketball, and letting them understand having the best experience for our women to have at this level. And so, I mean, I love the fact that they're willing to learn and listen, and not that men don't, but the game is a little bit different. We're not playing above the rim as much,
Hmm.
and the women's game, it's I like it. It's pure. We just coaching women's basketball. The aspects of the X's and O's is pretty fun too. But it's I wouldn't say it's too much too, because you do see a lot of women these day and age, like they're dunking, and the game is faster and stronger and whatnot too. So again, when I talked about the gap earlier, it is closing up. But I get that question asked a lot, being on the men's side first, but on the women's side, I just enjoy the fact that you're really, for me personally, I'm really coaching the game in a different um with the different narrative too, where I know my girls are like learning the game and understanding the X's and O's piece of it, and just man, they don't dunk it like that. We don't have a lot of players that dunks like that. So what are they going to do? They're going to shoot it like that. So we I enjoy that piece of our team. Mhm.
Very, very cool. Very cool. So what are some of the great coaches that you follow? I love the idea of mentorship and menteeship and all of that. And, it's just a cycle that we learn, right? Like I learn a lot from my students. Sometimes I say, hey, this is a subject area you really know a lot about. Why don't you come up here and talk about it? Because I may not know it as well as they do, and then vice versa, right? So what are some great coaches you follow and, to help inspire and motivate you as far as your journey goes?
Yeah, for sure. And you can't, I think as coaches, you have to have great mentors, not just coaches, but just anyone out there, but you have to have a great mentor to help lead you. One in particular, he recently passed away last year, but he was somebody that I worked with, and he was like a father figure to me. Everything that he's taught me and still teach me today was just really about the love piece. And that's something that I've really take taken on in the serving piece. He was a great server, always there for people and loving on people. So he's one of them. His name's Steve Jenkins, coach at an NAIA school, and this is NAIA. We're not talking Division I on ESPN on TV all the time. This is somebody that you'll have to Google to find out who this person is. He's one of them. I like from afar. I like looking at coaches that the X and O's part of it. A guy that used to coach that's no longer coaching but still in the game. I like looking at Brett Stevens stuff, guys like that, and even the Hurley family, like not the antics part, but you like to see what they do too. You can learn a lot from certain coaches. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be how they're yelling and screaming all that stuff, but just the X and O's piece, or maybe the leadership piece of what they do. So those are some of the guys. I'm big on seeing what Gino does still. I love the fact that he's still in the game, and just coaches like that, and just seeing what they do on the sideline. Um, but even Dawn Staley, like her leadership from afar, like just how is she able to manage and time manage being a coach and doing all these PR stuff with these commercials and all that, and still having her own life. Like those are things we don't see. She's still doing her thing and being successful at it, and still having her life outside of basketball. And so how is she able to do all that stuff? Like I'm not there obviously in the trenches to understand how she does it, but just to kind of see it from the outside view is like she's doing something amazing. And obviously it's because of her staff helps her out too to make sure that program runs well. So those are some people I like looking at from afar, even the social media piece of just watching their social media and how they lead by that. So, but even my head coach here, he does a great job of leading our program here. He's going into year three as a head coach, but he's been coaching for a minute, and so I enjoy just sitting here just watching what he does and taking notes. And so these are coaches that I've been around, even the coaches I've worked for in the past. So you don't just get here and stay here for 20 seasons with not working with good and challenging coaches, but I've worked with some really good coaches most recently, and I've done a good job with them, and just how they operate and how they lead. Those are some of the coaches that I've been around, some great coaches I've been around to help inspire me as a coach.
No, awesome. I think you brought in a really good piece too about the time management, right? Like, how are they able to do all of this, have their personal life, be a coach, and then
Mhm.
have all these other things that they're doing? And so I'm like, oh yeah, that's a great question. I need to go and look at how these people are doing that because I feel like my time management right now is not the best. So I think that's really important, right? Because you do need that time to yourself in order to succeed in your career. So having that work-life balance, if that exists, right? I don't know about that right now. But yeah, no, thank you for, listing the coaches, and I'm definitely gonna have to check them out on social media. So, with that being said, I know that, you're coaching right now and that's your full-time gig, but you're also to the VP of the Asian Basketball Coaches Association. And that's where I met you, when I was down in Tampa. So can you just tell us a little bit about the organization and why the organization is so important? Like, I know why it's so important from a personal standpoint, but if you could tell the audience, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, so I mean, it started 2012, I want to say, and it was just trying to grow and understand. Hey, there's this game is bigger than us. It's a worldwide sport, and so just putting together this association years ago with our president Mike McPile, who's now the head coach at Fordham on the men's side, and I think it's important for us just to bring awareness to our community. And the game of basketball is it's growing worldwide, as as we all know, in different countries. I know the NBA was trying to merge with China, doing some things with China, and even the country, the Philippines, like the basketball is one of the most popular sport in the Philippines, and so that the sport is growing. We want to bring awareness. We want people to understand that hey, you're not alone. If you want to coach, you want to play the game, like we're here to help you out. But it's not just for Asian people of Asian descent. I mean, obviously, allies, friends, family, whoever wants to be a part of it and just learn and grow. I think that's important. So that's really us and what we do to try to make sure that people know that I don't want to say like a safe place, but it is like who do I go to? Because growing up, we didn't know, like I didn't know who to go to if I had a question about the game of basketball or how to become a coach and whatnot. So I think this provides an opportunity for them or for those out there that wants to learn more about the game and how to go about and just bring a community within the game. So
Yeah, when I went, it was very warm, it was welcoming, it was inspiring. And I was able, so I have some Asian ancestry, so I just was able to really connect with you all. And while culturally I haven't really grown up in like a Asian household, it was just nice for you all to just embrace me so much. I felt the love and just the empowerment. And then as I was writing the newest edition of Social Issues in Sport, I always go through and I look and see, all the different types of people that are doing awesome things in sport, and just seeing the amount of Asian basketball players from 2020 to 2025, and then also to how they're being celebrated. Like when I follow the NBA page for basketball, I'm like, oh my gosh, all these players are being celebrated. So I just love that visibility that we're seeing more for Asian athletes, but in this point of view, Asian basketball players. So I do feel empowered looking at that. Yeah. So thank you for all you
absolutely.
do with that organization and for again welcoming me
Yeah.
to be a part of that when I was in Tampa.
Absolutely. No, and thank you for doing that too. I mean, it's crazy because I always say like the game of basketball, it's very it has no language. It's a worldwide language, and I guess not just basketball, but like for me personally, if I saw a Caucasian person speaking my native language or so, like, oh wow, that's so cool, right? That's so cool, and it's similar to basketball. Like, oh wow, there's an Asian person playing the game of basketball, doing it at an elite high level, or whatever it is. And so, with that being said, it just kind of like you could do it. There's no basketball has no race, no gender, whatnot. Like you could do it as long as you put your work to it and study the game. Just being able to work at it, just to get better at it. So I think that's the beauty of the game, and for me, just to kind of see that like there's no discrimination on the game itself. So
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think that's the beauty of sports, right? The diplomacy of it all. The fact that it doesn't matter where you are, who you are, you have a basketball, you have a court, like
Mhm.
whoever's the best player, that's going to be out there and that's going to be doing it. But, it's always nice to have role models. So
Yeah.
I always am like, well, who are my new role models now? So, okay, so we're moving on to the end of our conversation. So, what advice would you have for the younger generation, the audience, that may want to get into a position of coaching at the college level? So, anything from conferences to attend, or classes to take, or skills that they should acquire. What kind of advice do you have for them?
Well, the biggest thing, this is the hardest one because we're talking 2025 now. If it was back then, I think it's more attainable. But the biggest word I like to use is sacrifice. I know I've been saying being resilient, but you have to sacrifice to be here. Um, Meaning sacrifice your time, your money, being okay with not making that much to start off if that's what it takes. Because not everyone came or played at that level to get the opportunity to be where they want to be. You have to do some things to get there. And so I think that's really, really important for the young gen to understand that, hey, it's okay. It's okay that I'm not making that amount today, but eventually 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I want that. So how do I do this to get there? That's big. Going to seminars, picking up a phone, writing letters, emailing, texting coaches, like picking their brains. I think coaches love talking about themselves. I think coaches love talking about the game. Like just have these conversations with them. And so they understand who you are and what you are, and what you want. Because if we don't know what you want, we can't help you, nor can you help us. And so I personally want passionate coaches. Like I can't be in the game forever, but if I can help the next gen, they got to be passionate right behind me. This is how I operate. And if you're not passionate about it, then the game itself, it's not going to be a pure, beautiful game anymore. So I need you to be passionate just as much as I am to keep this game rolling. So just being in different conventions, if they are holding conventions, being on Zoom, Skypes, whatever you want to call it. I'm aging myself saying Skype, but just under being in part of these conference calls and learning from other people too, so people can see your face and then hear your name. I think that helps out too. Uh, Opportunities of being a GA. If you
Yeah, we
can
were
be
just
a
talking about
GA
that.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you could do that, get your foot in the door. I think that helps out being a volunteer assistant if you can at a smaller school. That's fine. That's great. But any way you can get in. I always say that, there's so many different ways to get inside, not just the front door. There's a back door, there's a chimney, there's a side window, there's a side door. I mean, there's different ways to get your foot in. But once you get in, you better start dancing. You can't just sit there and just twiddle your thumbs and do nothing. But I would definitely recommend the young gen to be okay with sacrificing, moving away. That's a big one too. Like I'll tell some of these people that calls me, I'm like, okay, are you willing to move out of California? Nope. Okay, well then sorry. This college coaching world is not for you. Maybe high school, but college coaching, you may have to move to East Coast and Midwest or whatnot. So sacrificing all that just to get to where you want to be, that's my biggest advice. And if you're up for it, then you can work your way into getting to where the next stage of this profession. So,
No, that's great advice. I think, for me, I went a different route. I went the academic route, but just that graduate assistant piece that you mentioned, right? Being able to get a degree, because at the end of the day, you may want to do a career change or just having
mhm,
that in your back pocket. And then being able to sacrifice and leave home. And, you could always come back home,
mhm.
right? There are always opportunities, but the more you expand your network, the more you're going to learn. And then you're going to have more of a chance at coming home or maybe finding an even better place that you want to live. So yeah, great advice, great advice. So,
And I'm sorry.
oh, go ahead, go
I
ahead.
don't say that to Dr. Bell. I was saying the same thing to someone. I said, "Hey, man, you got to let this game take you places. If you don't let this game take you places, you'll never get to experience the game itself. Because we just got done talking about this game as a worldwide game now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm talking about basketball particularly, but I mean, it's a worldwide game where if you allow the game to take you places, you won't realize how much you learn and know. You know what I'm saying? You think you know, but there's more out there. And so if you look at my resume, I've been on the East Coast, West
Yeah.
Coast, South, Midwest, and it's been a blessing for me in itself and my family. But it's at the end of the day, it's just like when you allow the game to take you places, I think it gives you an opportunity to still stay in the game but grow as a person within the game itself. So
Yeah, absolutely. I had to, I keep track of you. I keep track of you, keep tabs on social media and then LinkedIn and looking. And that's why it's so important just to sit down with you from that perspective, right? You've been at all these different levels, had all these different positions, lived in all these different regions, and have coached so many different types of teams, right? Who better to talk to than you and to really give that perspective. So just going out there, getting your foot in the door, looking for the opportunity, taking the opportunity, and that essentially opens up more opportunities for you. So, my next question to you, you know, what qualities or values, I guess, do you think are most important for a college basketball coach? And you kind of touched on this already because like leading with love, taking on those opportunities, but is there anything else you'd want to add on to that?
Obviously love is big. I think you have to have that quality. Being selfless, I think that's a huge quality you have to have. Being a servant, serving these young ladies, and men too. If you can serve them, they'll serve you. And just being available for them. Like if I'm not in the office and they get out of class at let's say 3, 4 in the afternoon, and they need someone to talk to, or just to swing by and just shoot it with you, like being available for them. And they get it. They understand like I have a family or whatever coach, like I have a family and they understand that, so they work with you. But they won't understand that if you don't serve them first. And so just letting them know, like I think that's a huge quality in any type of service, but just giving to them just as much as you want them to give to you, even during preseason because game season hasn't started. What do you want from them? And so I think that's a quality that a lot of coaches have to have. I know it's important to always take care of yourself. My staff, every staff I've worked for, they always say something about me not eating lunch and not eating as much. I get it. I need to do better at that. But it's like the job takes over sometimes, a lot of times, and then players are here. Like I kind of skip out on lunch because I'm always constantly trying to make sure that I'm there for them. And my mom does a great job of reminding me, hey, if you're not there for yourself, you can't be there for them. But always serving not just others, but also yourself at times too. So that quality, I think that's huge. Obviously, I mentioned the whole love piece. That quality is important too, and just having that work ethic. Like the mama mentality they talk about that. Like that's real. Like it's a different level, and you have to be okay with that. You have to have that uh, work ethic where you're going to be able to put that out there in the office or outside of office hours, whatnot, too. If you're willing and able to have that, I think you'll have a longer life in the college coaching world, in my opinion. I'm not saying that if you don't, it's because you're not. It's just it helps. It can help you moving forward. But those qualities, I mean, there's so much more, but those are the ones I definitely would hit on because of it's important. It's important to serve. It's important to love and care about other people. Mhm.
Yeah, and I feel like that piece of it too, right? You have these 17, 18-year-olds that are going away to school, and to
Mhm.
have somebody like you that has, those values, that has that mentality, right? These parents, they have to be really comfortable and feel that their daughter is going to be in safe hands, right? And we've been trying to figure out how to get this interview on the books for weeks, and it's because you're such a great coach, you're such a great leader, right? You're like, we have a new recruit coming in. I'm going to go pick them up and I'm going to go do this. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, it's lunchtime right now. I'm taking you away from your lunch. So just, thank you for creating this time to just share all of this great knowledge with these students that are going to be watching this. So my last question for you, and I ask everybody this, but is there anything else you'd like to add? I feel like we've covered all of the bases, but I just want to make sure that I didn't miss anything. So is there anything else you'd like to add to this conversation?
I think a couple things. I mean, just thinking, I mentioned this to someone not too long ago, but like, there's always someone watching. Like, we have to understand, like, our time, our pace, like you can't judge your journey with someone else, and if you do, that's just going to set yourself back a little bit more. But there's always someone watching you, whether it's on social media, whether it's at conferences, whether it's during games and whatnot. Like, and I'm just talking in the basketball world, in the coaching world right now. It's like there's always someone that's going to be watching you on campus as well too. So just making sure that you're presenting yourself in a way where you're representing yourself, your family, your university, your boss in a right manner. I think if you do that, there's more room for you to grow and have opportunities to get there. I would say that, and also it's okay to be you. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to don't be too afraid to just to put pick up the phone to talk to someone. It's really okay, but also be yourself. Like I I'll be honest, it was a struggle for me. Like, okay, do I have to be a certain way or whatnot? But I think people accept you easier if you are transparent in a way where they know who you are. Just allowing yourself your hair to get down, just lay your hair down, just go be you. And that's actually our hashtag here, just be yourself. But in a way where it means something within us. And so I think a lot of people get lost uh, because of that. But those in particular, like you just have to be sure that be you in a way where it doesn't jeopardize your career, your brand, who you are, and also just know that there's always someone that has their eyes on you no matter what. Even this recording, I mean, someone they're going to have another set of eyes on you. So you just have to be careful what you're doing, what you're saying. But in a sense, don't be afraid to just live your life and be who you are today.
Very good advice. Very good advice. Well, that wraps up our session. I'm really just happy that I got to learn more about you, and I'm happy that we've been able to have this friendship for so long. And I look forward to staying in touch. And if you all have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me, you know how to get a hold of Coach Yang. But good luck this season, and stay tuned for some amazing things he'll be up to.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Bye, everyone.